Good evening, Miss Jones. My name is Miss Diana Madre, and the other group members are Adrian Moses and Tatiana Nunes. Our presentation is based on formative assessment. It includes both practical and written components as it relates to formative assessment. Areas we will be looking at include definition of formative assessment, why formative assessment was chosen, a detailed example of formative assessment, how were the questions for the formative assessment formulated, and how formative assessment can be practically utilized in an inclusive classroom. Formative assessment is a planned, ongoing process used by teachers and students during instruction to monitor students' learning and provide immediate feedback. It's not just an end of unit test, it's a teaching and learning enhancement cycle, which can be used to tell exactly where our students are so teachers can instantly correct and adjust their instruction. Its main goal is to adjust ongoing teaching and learning activities to improve students' achievement of educational goals. It's often described as assessment for learning, in contrast to summative assessment, which is assessment of learning. Why this approach was chosen? In our classroom, especially those serving diverse learners, the why behind this choice of assessment method is critical. Why should we choose the kind of assessment over traditional methods? First, formative assessment gives feedback to instruction continuously. This means we do not have to wait for a final grade to realize a concept was grasped. We get immediate feedback that allows us to make those crucial instant corrections based on student performance. Second, formative assessment encourages active learning and participation among the learners. When assessments are an integral part of the learning process, students are more willing to try, risk being wrong, and to engage fully. Third, and this is vital, it establishes a low stress learning environment. As the GINS 2014 highlights, this is particularly suitable for special education. When the pressure is reduced, the focus shifts entirely back to learning. But the most powerful argument for formative assessment is its commitment to inclusion. Traditional tests often rely heavily on reading and writing, which can unfairly penalize students with certain learning difficulties. Formative assessment changes this. It actively gives learners with disabilities the opportunity to demonstrate meaning differently. We can move beyond only written answers. We can embrace methods like drawing or creating a visual model, signing or verbal explanation, matching or certain activities. As Tomlinson 2017 noted, this is necessary to establish the strengths and learning requirements in special education. When we provide these multiple avenues for demonstration, we aren't just accommodating, we are recognizing and validating all their strengths. We are making our classroom truly accommodating and inclusive to all. Formative assessment isn't just a trend, it's a philosophy of teaching. It shifts our focus from simply measuring performance to actively improving. By choosing continuous feedback, low stress, and inclusive demonstration, we empower every student to show us what they know and take an active role in their own success. My colleague, Ms. Tatiana Nunes, will now continue this presentation based on a practical example of formative assessment.
Hi everyone, I will be discussing instructions and teachers' role. Instructions to students. Follow the video story attentively. Make corrections on community helpers by matching pictures. Discuss or assign in pairs regarding the roles of helpers. Write or assign writing of your favorite helper. Teacher's role. Supervise and provide visual positive feedback. Notice understanding with the help of a simple checklist. Learning by encouragement and scaffolding. This slide explains how the assessment will actually be carried out in the classroom. For the students, the instructions are simple and clear, and so that everyone, including deaf learners, can follow along easily. First, students will watch the short video or listen to the story about community helpers carefully. Then they'll match pictures of helpers to the correct roles, for example, matching the nurse to the hospital or the firefighter to the fire truck. Next, they'll discuss or assign in pairs about the roles of each helper. This encourages communication and social interaction. Finally, they'll write or sign about their favorite helper, showing that they like about that person's job. As the teacher, my role is to supervise and guide the activity, providing positive feedback and support when needed. I'll use a simple checklist to observe understanding, for example, checking who correctly matches the pictures or participates in discussion. I'll also use scaffolding techniques, meaning I'll give help when necessary and gradually reduce it as students become more confident. The goal is to keep the learning fun, inclusive, and supportive for everyone. Now we have question design on the taxonomy of Bloom. There are levels of cognition, knowledge, who is this, help identify helpers, understanding what is this, what this person does, application, who would you call in case there is a fire. Now, this shows how the assessment connects to Bloom's taxonomy, which helps structure questions according to different levels of thinking. At the knowledge level, I might ask, who is this? So students can identify the community helper by name or role. At the understanding level, the question becomes, what does this person do? Encouraging students to explain the helper's duties or how they serve the community. Then, at the application level, I might ask, who would you call if there was a fire? This helps students apply what they've learned to real-life situations. These questions progress from simple recall to deeper understanding and application. It ensures that the formative assessment doesn't just test memory, but helps build meaningful learning and reasoning skills. Now I will hand you over to Sir Adrian, who is going to discuss practice in a non-disabled classroom.
In this section, I will explain how the formative assessment we've designed can also promote inclusive education, even in a non-disabled classroom setting. The formative assessment and community helpers allows all learners to participate meaningfully regardless of their abilities or learning styles. First, by promoting various forms of expression as seen here on the diagram, such as drawing, signing, and picture matching, children who may have communication or literacy difficulties are given equal opportunities to show what they know. This supports inclusion by recognizing that learning can be demonstrated in many different ways, not just through writing or speaking. Secondly, the use of visual and physical learning experience such as videos and matching activities benefits both non-disabled and disabled learners. Visual learners can connect images to concepts, while physical participation, example like moving pieces, pointing, or signing, keeps learners actively engaged. Thirdly, peer learning is encouraged in this formative approach. When students work in peers or small groups to match helpers to their roles, mixed ability collaboration naturally takes place. Children support one another, explain the reasoning, and learn through social interaction, which strengthens both understanding and inclusion. Lastly, because formative assessment involves continuous observation and feedback, the teacher can modify instruction immediately based on what is observed. For instance, if some students struggle to match certain helpers to the roles, the teacher can pause and reteach the concept using another method or visual aid. This makes teaching more flexible and responsive. I will now take you through the educational theories that backs formative assessment. This formative assessment on community helpers is supported by several key educational theories. First, Vygotsky, 1978, and his social constructivist theory emphasized learning through interaction and scaffolding. In our assessment, students work together, discussing, matching pictures, and receiving guidance from the teacher, showing how learning happens socially within the zone of proximal development. Jean Piaget, 1952, in his cognitive development theory reminds us that children in the concrete operational stage learn best through hands-on experience. Our activities such as picture matching and role play allowed learners to actively explore and construct meaning through doing. Carroll and Tomlinson 2017 supports differentiated instruction where teaching meets diverse learners' needs. This assessment promotes inclusion by allowing multiple forms of response: drawing, signing, writing, or discussing, so every child can show understanding in their own way. Finally, Black and William 2018 shows that formative assessment improves achievement through ongoing feedback. In our lesson, the teacher observes, gives immediate feedback, and adjusts teaching based on students' performance. Altogether, these theories show that summative assessment is very important, and that it can help in the classroom where teachers serves as supervisors, and that it's not just about checking learning, it's all about supporting learning through interaction, active participation,